What's up, y'all? So I just got back from racing Gravista in Buena Vista, Virginia. This race is put on by Cynthia Carson, also known as Wattwagon on Instagram. If you're not familiar with her, definitely give her a follow. She is an ultra endurance cyclist. I think literally the week before Gravista, she was racing the Traca 560.
Hey, I'm Cynthia here in Gravista in Buena Vista, Virginia. It's a gravel race in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we hope that maybe you'd be interested in coming one day. Routes are 60 and 30 miles. There are a lot of mountains here, but it's super beautiful. A challenging day out, but we have live music, we've got great food, there's a party vibe after, so we'd love for you to join us and see what Chase has found here in the Blue Ridge Mountains that we have set the riders out on.
This is my all-time favorite gravel race ever. Literally, as soon as I finished, I was like, yep, I'm doing that again. If you have not done this race, add it to your list. I think I have Jesse convinced to go do it next year. I did the 60 mile and there is an insane amount of climbing. Wahoo afterwards said it was like 8,900 feet of climbing. The ride with GPS route said 8,500 feet. Anywhere from there, roughly that vicinity. For my nutrition for this race, I was using this event to test out a few different things. Because if you watched our Cajada recap, I had a ton of basically just tummy issues during the event and struggled to hold stuff down. I kind of wanted to see what was causing me issues, what wasn't. My plan for this event was to start out with 2 bottles of Scratch Labs drink mix. And by the time I got to the first aid station around mile 17, the goal was to have 1 bottle gone. And then in my pocket, I had brought 3 packets of the Beta Fuel drink mix. So at the first aid station, I still had 1 full bottle of Scratch. And then the empty bottle, I mixed up a pack of Beta Fuel and kind of went from there. And then in between the second and the third aid station, the goal was to drink the bottle of Scratch, drink the bottle of Beta Fuel. And then also during that period, I tried 1 Beta Fuel gel and started to feel the same stomach issue that I had at Cajada. I didn't eat any gels for the rest of the day and pretty much just relied on the Beta Fuel drink mix. At the second aid station, I did have half of a PB&J and that stayed down, didn't upset anything. By the time I got to the third aid station, I had 1 bottle of Scratch, 1 bottle of Beta Fuel, and I had actually ran out of all my liquids like 2-3 miles before I got to that aid station. So when I got there, I just did 2 more bottles of Scratch and then half of a PB&J again and used that to get me through to the finish.
So right now it's 44 degrees out at the campground. By the time the race starts, it's going to be 50 degrees. And then from there, it just starts going up by 4 to 6 degrees an hour. And by the time that I'm estimating that I'll be finishing, it'll be 70 degrees. I have a 20 degree temperature jump. I'm going to be wearing the Paul Normal Escapism gloves. I've only worn these a handful of times. I know Jesse really loves them, but the one time I did wear them, 1 or 2 times I did wear them, they're pretty comfortable. So I'm gonna wear these. I have deciding between this Paul Normal Escapism jersey and then the Mechanism long sleeve. The Mechanism long sleeve is actually a lighter weight material than the Escapism short sleeve, so I don't know if it's gonna make much of a difference. I think it's more of a mental thing.
As far as the race itself goes, it was a mass start. We did a neutral rollout through the town, and then immediately you hit a 5-mile-ish climb, and I actually set my all-time 20-minute power record on that, so that was cool. That was just a fun little bonus there. Race strategy, I didn't necessarily have one. I was more for myself going for...
Wait, how many watts did you do?
I don't do high watts. It's like 174.
So you did
I'm like a low
174.
watt. I'm like a low watt person.
I think people want to know.
Yeah, it's not that high, but for me, it's like...
It's a record.
It is a record for me. I was more focused on dialing in my nutrition because I'm using this event as prep for Leadville this year, and I can't go to Leadville if I can't eat anything. So it was a really great way for me to test that and also get a really solid amount of climbing in my legs. I did the Stoked 60. It ended up on my Strava being right at like 64.41 miles, and it says 8,900 feet of elevation gain. The ride with GPS route said it was like 8,500 feet of elevations, give or take a couple hundred feet. A very climb heavy race. If you don't like to climb, this probably isn't for you. It's the best gravel race I've ever done. It was so much fun and beautiful. First climb is overall relatively easy. That's like a 5-mile climb, and then you have a long descent after that. And then in between the first aid station at mile 17 and the second aid station at mile 30 something, there is essentially 3,200 feet of climbing. You do have some slight downs during that, but overall, you're doing an insane amount of climbing. One section was paved. I was following a waste type truck. I think it was like a porta pot cleaning truck or something up that climb, and there was at least one person ahead of me that had to get off his bike and walk up it. And then after that, you turn onto like a gravel climb and you finish it on the gravel. The pavement was actually the second hardest climb of the day for me. I thought that was brutal. I heard a lot of people complaining about the gravel section going up to the last aid station, and they were like, that's the hardest. For me, it was actually the pavement. But once you get through that part, there's a really long, like another like 5-mile or so descent, and you actually backtrack a little bit back onto that pavement that was absolutely terrible to climb up. It was super fast going down. The descents got a little sketchy for me at some points. Overall, really smooth gravel, but there are some sections of rocks that just kind of jut up. And then the brake bumps were kind of beating the shit out of me a little bit. But everyone was in the same boat. The hardest climb of the day was actually the very last climb. And we went down this at the beginning of the race. 2 parts here. So it's right after the third aid station. And I think part of the reason it's so hard is because it's the very last climb of the day. Your legs are fried. But I also think in general, it's just the hardest climb with the grade of it. And there are so many rocks and brake bumps jutting up from that. I overheard a few people after the race and even during the race how that hill was kind of sketchy to go down. Climbing it was absolutely brutal. By far the hardest climb. But once you get up it, you are just downhill for 6 miles or so until you get to the finish. I rode my Envy Mog for this race. It's just a good gravel bike. Ended up running my race canes on here, and while these are technically too big for this bike, it wasn't a muddy race, so I was able to make it work. They just barely fit. I probably will take these off pretty soon. They haven't rubbed the frame yet, but like I said, it's a really tight fit. But with the amount of rocks jutting out and brake bumps, the race canes were an absolutely amazing tire choice for this race. I had 0 regrets. I thought they were amazing. They were fast when I needed them to be fast. On the long descents, I didn't feel like I was gonna wipe and die. They were absolutely amazing. The other big thing, Jesse let me ride his Duke Bacara WRX 27? Yeah, 27.
Yeah, these are the 27s. They have a 29 internal, for anybody who was wondering, and they weigh 1,100 grams.
These wheels are absolutely amazing. They felt super light, but also very comfortable. And immediately after the race, like I called Jesse and I was like, hey, go ahead and sell my 303 Firecrest because I'm obsessed with these wheels. So I'm officially switching to Duke wheels. I'm so impressed by how these rode and handled that.
The
I love
idea
them.
is like there was very little aerodynamic advantage to get this race. It just made perfect sense to go with these shallow wheels for this event specifically. Yeah, so super stoked that Jesse let me take these because they came in the mail right before the race and he hasn't even ridden them yet. He might never get to because I think I'm stealing them. That was the other big thing. Everything else on my bike was just my normal standard setup. If you want to buy a set of Duke wheels because they're absolutely amazing, let us know. You can email us at sales@thebicyclestation.com or DM us on Instagram. We'll set up a meeting with you. They have a ton of different options. Jesse got the shallow ones. I might go with a slightly deeper There's like
rim.
6 options for gravel.
I'm so impressed that I'm selling my 303 Firecrest. So if you want those as well, keep an eye out on the used parts section of thebicyclestation.com because those will be posted here really soon. Oh yeah, this is my new dog. He doesn't have a name yet. If you have name ideas, comment down below. He's an Aussie Collie mix, and he's just a little baby. Anyway, the only thing on my bike I would really change from this race is probably my front chainring. I was overall okay with this one, but I think if or when I go back to this race next year, I would size down up my chain ring just a little bit just to have a slightly easier climbing gear, because you are either grinding and climbing or you're going downhill. Like there's no flat sections on this race. That's probably the only thing I would really change. Wheels were great, tires were spectacular. Everything else is just the normal stuff I have on my mog. Nothing too crazy there. You may notice I've been wearing this spectacular hat this whole time. So race went really well. I ended up getting 4th for the open women. There were 14 women registered for that category per bike reg. So I got this pretty sick hat that you get if you podium at Gravista. I'm for sure going to be going back to this race next year. I think I have Jesse convinced to go. I had a blast the entire time, and I definitely feel like I can cut time off of my overall race time, and I want to see how I can do next year. I gotta keep growing my hat collection because it's sick.
So you were about an hour off 3rd place, right?
Right around there.
Yeah, I think
and I haven't been riding or training all that much realistically. So I think if I get a solid year of like riding and training under my belt, then I'm stoked. Like there's definitely room to improve. I want to see what I can do there.
The goal for this year is just finishing Leadville.
Yes.
Next year you can worry about being faster, but I think this was a good step forward, because I can't remember the last time Chase like finished a race really, like
finished
successfully.
A race successfully,
Yeah.
had fun, did well, and wasn't like damn near dying when I was
that's
the
what
finish
I mean.
line.
Like you finished Mid-South last year, but like I wouldn't say that was like your best showing.
No, my goal there was literally just to get through it, finish, be done. But yeah, this was like, I felt like I was actually like out there doing the dang thing and actually kind of racing a little bit. Like throughout the entire day, I had an idea of where I was roughly. Like I knew the entire day that I was top 5. The goal was just to keep with that. I did get passed by one woman on the very last climb and could not hang with her, but she ended up being in the Masters, so worked out. She was not in my category.
Yeah.
Regardless, even if she was in open, I still would have been 5th, still would have gotten this dope hat, so that's a win. But I could not recommend this race more. Kudos to Cynthia and the entire team. Great weather, just good vibes all around. Check out Gravista. I've tentatively got it on my calendar for next year. It's definitely a priority for me to get to again. I think that's all I have.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.